Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to item D, the mayor's presentation to state bowling champion Ariana Kisling. Come on up.
Ariana and I visited a little before this, and she said she was nervous for this. And all she has to do is just stand and smile. I can't imagine bowling like you did. And this is more nervous than that. That's okay, all right? It's a good day. It's always a good day when you see kids from Napoleon area schools do really well at big competitions, and Ariana is our most recent state champion, the first ever for the bowling team, right? Boys and girls, you're the first. Very, very cool, very neat accomplishment. And your dad is your coach? One of your coaches? One of them? Okay. She said that like a freshman, Dad. Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, she coaches the boys, Chris coaches the girls, but I work with girls.
There we go. All right. So we have a proclamation here. Okay, I'll read this, and then we'll do all kinds of pictures, if that's okay. All right. So, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas the Point High School started its bowling team during the 2000-2001 school year, and whereas the Lady Cats have seen a remarkable streak of success by dominating the sectional tournament by either winning or placing runner-up in 12 of the last 17 tournaments. And whereas since the 2005-2006 season, the girls have also won 4 district titles, including the last 2. And whereas the Napoleon Lady Cats bowling team won the Northern Lakes League Championship. And whereas this year marked the first time the Napoleon High School bowler won an individual state title when Ariana Kisling rolled a 674 series for the championship. And whereas Ariana Kisling rolled the 5th highest 3-game series in Division II history, besting the runner-up by 11 pins. And whereas Ariana was named the first team All-NLL and first team All-Ohio. And whereas Ariana also excels in classroom, holding a 3.93 GPA while taking honors geometry and singing the freshman choir. Now therefore I, Jason Miles, the Mayor of the City of Napoleon, do hereby congratulate Ms. Ariana Kisling on winning the D2 2023 State Girls Individual Bowling Championship, and recognize today, the 20th day of March 2023, as Ariana Kisling Day, and wish her the best of luck in all your future endeavors. Stick with it, eh? There you go, yeah, see?
You want in the picture?
No, that's okay. It's
Your
okay.
experience in? It's up to you.
She doesn't care, she's a
Who's gonna take your picture? Who's your camera?
Oh, I didn't, my mom can, you want, or my sister can get it with that. I'll do the picture. Okay.
All right,
Come on up,
come on up.
come on up. Go right up there in the middle.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. Don't let us scare you.
Sure, camera mom.
Mayor's the only one that'll scare you. He's way up there.
It's true.
Oh my God, Mom, where's the camera? This is an old phone.
Here's you on mine.
Yeah, just give me yours. I don't know what's wrong. This is not the newest update. It's embarrassing.
You hold this, you hold the whole thing that time. There you go. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say?
No.
No. Thank you.
Go over there and shake everyone's hand.
Oh,
too,
sure.
okay?
Okay.
They're gonna let her off the hook.
Yeah.
No pressure, but.
All right. Everyone is welcome to stay. It's an agenda full of fun and excitement.
Well, that didn't last long, did it?
All right, we will move on to item.
You clear the room as good as Joe does. Don't let him breathe.
Learn from the best. We will move on to item item E, approval of minutes. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved. I'm hearing none, they will stand approved. Item F, citizen communication. If anyone is in the audience that is left or online that has questions or comments, please put that in the chat and we'll be happy to address those. Item G, reports from council committees. The Electric Committee, the Water, Sewer, Refuse, Recycling, and Litter Committee, and the Municipal Properties, Building, Land Use, and Economic Development Committee did not meet on March 13th, 2023 due to lack of agenda items. And item I, I-1, resolution number 009-23, a resolution authorizing contracts with the townships of Napoleon, Harrison, Freedom, and the Village of Florida, and the Henry County South Joint Ambulance District for fire service and/or emergency medical service commencing April 1st, 2023, and declaring an emergency, and suspension is requested. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Andy?
Yes, President Pro Tem, this legislation was discussed at the last meeting, authorizes service contracts or safety services contracts between the three townships mentioned, as well as the South Joint Ambulance District and the Village of Florida. Each contract is based on 2022 actual numbers, and the formula that determines these numbers is rather complex, but is based on population and property values. And as you had said, I do ask for suspension because this contract is supposed to take effect April 1st. So if there are no other questions, I would ask for a suspension.
Motion for suspension.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and vote on the suspension, please, Marissa.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Any questions or comments on the legislation? I'm hearing none. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's pass on first read under suspension. Item I-2, resolution number 010-23, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds in excess of $50,000 for the purpose of replacing the roofs of the existing buildings at the City of Napoleon wastewater treatment plant and to award said purchase to Richland Roofing and declaring an emergency. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Andy?
Yes, as you may recall, excuse me, at the last meeting, Jeremy Oakley, our wastewater superintendent, was here and presented this for legislation to be drafted. It is to replace 4 roofs down at the wastewater treatment plant. The bid came in at $54,371, and there was $85,000 budgeted for this project. And I think a lot of the reason why the bid is so good is because the roofer is already on site and there are no remobilization costs. So I just ask that you approve it on first reading.
Any questions or comments? I'm hearing none. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Now we'll move on to second read. Item I-3, resolution number 011-23, a resolution approving the petition for special assessments for special energy improvement projects under Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 1710, approving the necessity of acquiring, constructing, and improving certain public improvements in the city of Napoleon, Ohio, in cooperation with the Northwest Ohio Advanced Energy Improvement Districts and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Yeah, as this PACE grant was first discussed, Josh came last month, February 20th, to the meeting. And as you may recall, the grant payback is handled through property assessments that are paid from the property owner to the city, and then those are transferred on through to the county. This legislation is the first step in the process that approves the grant for the Thermoduct, which is the entity that is going into the old Walmart facility. Included in the packet, I was provided with a list of municipalities that are already utilizing this program through the Toledo-Lucas County Port Authority. And Josh Strickland from the Port Authority is here to answer any questions, detailed questions you may have in regard to this particular legislation.
Welcome, Josh.
Good afternoon,
Thanks for
council.
coming back. How are you?
Mr.
Do you have anything to add before we open it up for questions?
Mayor. I don't think so. I think I gave council a good overview of what PACE financing is and what it can do for your constituents. So more than happy to field any questions for the related legislation today.
The only risk associated with this for the city is the work that we do to collect and pass on. There's no financial risk for the city of Napoleon, right?
Correct. Section 9 speaks specifically to that.
Okay. Kevin, I know you read that and you got in the weeds on this like you're supposed to, and I really appreciate all those efforts. Are you happy with the way it's constructed?
I've had several questions and emails back and forth with Mr. Strickland.
Right.
And, you know, and that's what I want to do, is I want to protect the city of Napoleon in case anything happens.
Right.
Last thing we want to do is become on the hook because we didn't certify something to the auditors with
Understand,
that.
right, yeah.
And he's assured me that we are not responsible. In fact, he's even mentioned about helping out to make sure that the assessment, when it comes time to do that, to get that around for us.
Okay.
So with that, you know, while it does not guarantee any economic development per se, as in jobs,
Right.
but hopefully this does align to something to happen, I think we'd be comfortable with this passing.
You know, part of the CIC is job creation, it's also job retention, and this is a good tool to give to our CIC for job retention. So I'm full in favor of it, again, as long as we're not at risk. And so I appreciate you really getting into this. And thanks, Josh, for coming tonight, too, and answering questions.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Billy, anything from your end that would pose hesitation?
I mean, no, is this something council can do? Absolutely, legally, yes. I mean, I looked at the statutes and, you know, I guess I'm not an economic development expert to say whether or not this is actually going to bear fruit as to, you know, it's gonna create a bunch of new funds for the city, exactly, you know, as far as incoming jobs or incoming work, but it doesn't seem that it would hurt us in any way that I could see.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Mr. Strickland, thank you for being here.
Sure.
Thanks.
Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
That will move on to second reading.
Thank you.
All right, item J1, resolution number 008-23, a resolution authorizing the execution of a commitment letter relating to the American Municipal Power, Inc.'s grant application for the smart grid using edge computing to build grid resiliency projects and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes, Council President Pro Tem. After last council meeting on February 6th, in addition to the questions that were posed by City Council, the following day I had staff, a couple of staff members approach me in regard to this with some concerns. And so I set up a meeting and we discussed it at length. And because of their concerns and other information that was brought forth in terms of other AMI programs that are available that are immediately more effective for the city than what this program would be at a far less cost, I have determined that it is best if we do not pass this legislation, that we kill it on its second read and it not go any further. I know AMP is not waiting for our response. I did file a letter with them telling them that I was going to proceed with asking you to kill the legislation. And they have already submitted the GRIP grant to the Department of Energy with our support. So that's, you know, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. It was a tough one, and I know Kevin would probably agree with me. We had basically 5 weeks to decide on spending almost $1.7 million of the city's money. In the end, is it a good program? I believe it probably is. And there are municipalities that will take advantage of it. But for us right now, and because of staff's concern and because of additional homework that was done in crunch time, we just don't think it's the right program for us right now. There is some unfamiliarity with the system, as not many of people have this particular system that they're pushing. On the flip side of that, the system that we were given after our meetings, there was some homework done last summer. They actually inquired about the system and got a quote. Apparently it didn't make it through to the budgeting process, but Mike Dietrich approached this company again and asked them for another quote, and that came back and it was very positive, far less than what the GRIP grant program would have been. And it identified 4 different communities that I made contact with. 2 of them have since responded and have nothing but good to say about that program. One of them is being Deschler. And I received a long, drawn-out, very detailed email from the utility superintendent in Deschler, and it was very, very positive to the program. So at this point, I would say if we are interested in going with the AMI, which I am interested in utilizing AMI, I think there's some tremendous benefits for the city. I'm sure from the utilities and financial standpoint, it's a very positive thing, that we will likely proceed in that direction with at least this particular company. And if you have any questions on it.
Is there any negative downsides going with a different program than what AMP is trying to make as a standard?
No, I will say, in all fairness, the price that we received for this Brand X was strictly for the hardware and the software. Our folks, our electrical folks, would have to do the installation. They don't seem to think that's an issue at all. It's something that they can handle and manage, but that part of the cost is not in the quote that we received. No, as a matter of fact, Deschler, Kirk Behrman,
yes,
was the one from Deschler that responded, and he was very positive, and he even said it's actually better than they anticipated, so,
Good.
yeah.
Do you know, does Deschler use that for power and water?
They do,
Yes.
yes, and gas,
yes.
yes, yeah.
Cool.
Councilman Durham, if I could just add too, I concur with what Andy Small says. Through this entire process, we knew that we needed to start this process as information was coming out. And so for us to ask for this to fail is not a bad thing. It's just that always bought us time to stay in the game until a decision needed to be made. One of the main concerns that a lot of us had, and just questions, is that for the city of Napoleon, this would be best beneficial for our water department. And there was never an answer given to us on how soon we could add this, because with the GRIP grant is solely for the electric. And yeah, thought was that you get the electric first and then you plug and play or add the water later. But we were never given an answer like
That's
when
correct.
that would be.
And/or specifically if the program would be functional with our current Neptune meters.
Yeah.
So,
So the more that we discussed it with staff, it was a matter of, the most important thing for us, while the electric and the stability is a needed thing and a great thing, the daily reads of what the system is capable of doing is really more beneficial for us for the water, for like water leaks, running water in certain areas of town or certain individuals, and we could never get that answered. Speaking with AMP on this, they are pretty much at below 50% that they'll get this grant. I wish them all the best that they do get it, but if not, they're optimistic that they could try next year, because that right now is a possibility of that, and we could join it next year if
the
that-
numbers are right.
If the numbers are right, yeah.
They were very helpful. AMP was very helpful in helping us make our decision. They gave us all the information that they could, but there were certain answers that they couldn't give us. As Kevin just said, in relation to the water, how quickly we could add the water to the system. So they were very helpful.
I appreciate the investigation. It felt a little too fast and a little bit backward that we're talking about financing the program before we really even understood totally what the program was, so.
And like Kevin said, the whole time, if you recall, I mean, we presented it and said we wanted to do more homework, and then we presented the first read and we want to do more homework, and because it was very, very fast. Things have gone fast for me the last 10 weeks anyway. But it went very fast, but I appreciate our staff coming forward, sharing with us their concerns and the numbers. And I think we made the right decision. So, as I said, I would recommend that we don't proceed with this and vote it down.
I think it's good work on staff's part, to raise the questions and to say stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think it's also good that we brought this forward in the way it was presented. Hey, we think this is the best thing for us right now, but we're still trying to investigate. So I have no problem with saying yes last time and saying no this time. I think that's exactly what we're supposed to do, right? It's a reason you do 3 reads. It's a reason you have everybody look at the thing to make sure this is good. So I think it's a good idea to say no for now. Who knows? It may get turned down, get less than 50% and come back even next year with a little different deal, maybe a better deal. We'll check other systems and see if they work for us now for both water and electric, and here we go. So I think it's a good program to have, if the price tag is right. And I don't think this price tag was right for only half of our utility that we really can use, so.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a history behind it and being the first person. If there's problems with the system, especially adding what we would like, you don't want to be that first person trying to make something work.
Okay. Well, thank you again for all the research put into it. Appointed authorities and staff, really appreciate it. On that note, if there are no other questions, which I'm hearing none, Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori?
No.
Ross?
No.
Dan?
No.
Ken?
No.
Becky?
No.
Thank you.
Die on second read.
Thank you.
We will move on to item K, third reading of ordinances and resolutions. Item K1, resolution number 005-23, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds in excess of $50,000 for the purpose of purchasing cardiac monitors and all necessary appurtenances for the City of Napoleon Fire Department, and to award said purchase to Stryker Sales Corporation and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Andy?
Yes, there are no changes to this legislation. Again, it just purchases 3 defibrillator monitors that are replacements for monitors, defibrillators that are in the field.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm hearing none. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
I'll pass on third read under emergency. Item K2, ordinance number 006-23, an ordinance creating the non-bargaining position of Parks and Recreation Facility Manager for the City of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second. Third.
Thank you.
Yes, President Pro Tem, once again, there are no changes, and this ordinance creates the Parks and Rec Manager position. Facilities Manager.
All right. Any questions, comments?
I don't think so. I think we've said it.
Yep. All right, Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
No.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
That will pass on third read.
Thank you.
On emergency.
Without emergency, since it's 4-1.
Okay.
So we need 5 votes for an emergency.
Thank you, sir. Note to self.
Yeah.
All right, item K3, ordinance number 007-23, and ordinance amending ordinance number 077-22 regarding compensation of the City of Napoleon IT specialist and IT administrator positions for the year 2023 and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Andy?
Yeah, this, there are no changes to this, and again, this increases the range and steps for both the IT administrator and the IT specialist positions.
Okay. Any questions or comments here? I'm hearing none. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
That will pass on third read. All right, moving on to item L, good of the city. L1, discussion or action, review or approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for March 2023. PSCA 3-month average factor 0.02246 and JV2 0.037919. Andy, you want that one?
I'll pass to Kevin.
So these are the monthly adjustment factors that we have, and I'm going to ask that you approve these. This is a little bit on the higher end, as this is the second of the 3 months, so we'll even see this next month of the results of what happened on December 23rd with the extreme cold temperatures, that our peak demand was extremely high, and which in effect created one of the largest AMP bills, monthly bills that we've ever had. And so this is why we do a 3-month rolling average, and I will also just reiterate that it was an anomaly, but that's why we also look at peak shaving when we can. Typically, it's not in the winter time. But I would ask that council approve these rates.
Yeah, and when we were at AMP last week for the meetings, they were talking about it being like a 50 or 100-year event, and they were like, no, this was not even a 50 or 100-year event. This was an event that will likely never, ever occur again.
Wow.
Because it was the Christmas break, it was the perfect storm, literally, when everything came together, and it just caused the prices to just go crazy. So, I mean, people were just caught off guard across the board, from the generation to the transmission. I mean, it was just a crazy time, and hopefully, with any luck, it'll never happen again. Yeah, exactly, I know.
So not to get into.
Actually,
to
I
make-
don't believe in that,
So not to get into too much detail, I mean, the city of Napoleon purchases about 15% of our power off the market. And the market price just shot up immensely. I mean, from under $100 to over $1,000 in that short time frame, and we had to purchase that. So while we typically play the long game and we are short on power and we buy it off the market pretty cheap, those that were long on power at that time really benefited. So for us, that's the perfect storm with them.
That event, will that fall off of our 3-month average in September, or excuse me, in April?
So we've already run the numbers for next month, which you'll approve then next month, obviously. It's gonna still be at 0.02246 or 7. So it's, and then it'll drop off, and we should see a difference there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say one last thing. For example, usually our monthly bill is a little over $1 to $1.1 million. And I'm looking at our history here, and I'm going back to December 20th. We've never had a bill that was over 1.3, and this was 1.328 million.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'll take a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Item L2, discussion or action, first quarter budget adjustments. Direct the law director to draft legislation. Anything else here, Kevin?
But this is just something that we've been pretty much doing quarterly. We're just putting the cart a little bit in front of the horse here, is that the Finance and Budget Committee meeting will meet next March 27th. We do have items for some budget adjustments for the first quarter, and once those are approved, we'd like to bring them to the next council meeting, because we're asking the law director to create the legislation, draft legislation.
Okay. Do we have a motion to have the law director draft legislation?
So moved.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you. Marissa, please call the roll.
Lori,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Item L3, discussion or action, ODOT requested legislation for the State Route 108 roundabout project. What's that one?
I can start it. I might have to ask for backups, but I'll start. This is requested legislation from MoDOT that outlines our share of the cost for the roundabout project, which comes to $179,653. For this particular legislation, we will have to suspend after the second read because of the deadline of April 21st. And then we received notice and an invoice in regard to this just last Wednesday, or else we would have come to you sooner. But this is something that we just received from ODOT. So,
Is this also the agreement to let them work in town, or have we done that one already?
we've done that and
We did it
completed
already?
that,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, this is just basically saying we can pay for it.
Do we have a time schedule yet for when they want to start this project?
They're planning to award the project in May. Until they award it, we don't have a schedule from the contractor, because they haven't obviously chosen a contractor.
Well, probably after their fiscal year ends June 30th, probably sometime after July 1st. But if you had a guess, Chad, what do you think, or no?
If I had to put a date on it, I don't see them breaking ground until late July, early August,
Okay.
just because I'm very familiar with how long it takes to get contracts prepared and all the ODOT paperwork and get supplies ordered. I don't see it happening until late summer.
And for us, that would really work out best if that's the case, because I believe the county anticipates beginning the Oakwood project around June 1st. And that is anticipated to be a 45-day closure. So if we can get that complete and opened up prior to Scott Street being closed, that will certainly be a benefit to us, so.
Took my next question right out of my mouth, and I appreciate that. That was good, excellent. So, very good, thank you.
And we will continue to work with our local media to make sure that people are understanding of how much of a disruption this will be. I don't want to underestimate that.
Right. Right.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I think, if you don't mind, and this is maybe too early. At last meeting, I think I asked about the consideration of people who walk that path.
Yeah, I will handle that. I sent a letter to ODOT not long after that meeting.
Mhm.
I did get a response from them that said they will look into it.
Okay.
I haven't received a response back again. I will certainly contact them and but they are aware of it.
Okay.
And I did make sure that I CC'd the people at the top so they understood
Yeah.
what I was looking for.
Good.
I'll have an answer for you
That's okay. It might be way too soon, I don't know, but I know I see people walking that path all the time, and
Yeah.
what will they do? I don't know.
No, it's important to have something, a
Mhm.
way for them to go.
Mhm. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, do we have a motion to have the law director draft legislation?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Item L4, discussion or action to make an unbudgeted payment to the state of Ohio in excess of $50,000 for the State Route 108 roundabout project. Again, just directing the law director to draft legislation.
Yeah, this goes directly with number 3. We were somewhat caught off guard by the bill that we received. I don't know where it got lost, but somewhere communications got mishandled or lost. And so we worked with the finance director and of course Chad, and we've identified funds that we can utilize to cover the $179,653. But because it's over $50,000, we have to have legislation drafted to cover that. And it will be a fund transfer.
I would like to clarify, ordinarily on projects such as this, there's an agreement between the city and ODOT. ODOT forgot to send us that paperwork. So the only communication was an inter-office communication inside ODOT that said we owed 10%. Please understand, staff was not aware. But that's how the grant was applied for, with the city paying 10%. We probably owe it. It's probably the right thing to do. And we're able to find the funds to cover that portion. But ODOT did apologize and said they would change their procedures in the future.
Bad chance.
Yeah. So, but this is where we are.
Okay.
It's still, though, we're paying 10% of the project to make an intersection that is dangerous right now, hopefully a whole lot safer. And we get to repay a part of Scott Street and 108 that is in desperate need of that. And if we can spend $1 to $10 worth of value out of it.
And my personal opinion of it, the most valuable part of this is the sidewalk.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna stop the goat trail.
Yeah.
That, people walking out that you can see the trail.
We have a
Yep.
danger to pedestrians that we are addressing.
Yep. So a lot of good.
Well said. Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, we'll take a motion to have the law director draft legislation, please.
So move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Item L5, discussion or action, GFOA Financial Award. Kevin, is that one of you?
Want to toot your own horn over there, Kevin?
I will refer to the mayor.
I received email last week that talks about our finance department and how great of a job they did with, I think it was with their CAFR, I think, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And all the work that we put into that CAFR year in and year out, it gets rewarded by getting this award. It's achievement for excellence in financial reporting, and usually that is at the higher range of awards. So that's just a testament to Kevin and his whole team. And like I said before the meeting started, the fastest way to get unelected, one of the fastest ways to get elected is to have books that don't quite balance. So we have a great team in the finance department, and this is proof of it right here. So Kevin, thank you for you and all your team's work in putting this CAFR together year in and year out. So we really appreciate it. So, and all the staff that feeds into it and all the work that goes into it, really appreciate it.
Well done.
Thank you.
We will move on to item L6, discussion or action, setting a public hearing for the AG district renewals.
Yes, Council President Pro Tem, I'm going to pass this along to our finance director as well, but this is the ag district, out in the North Point area, out around the truck stops. And there is just one, I believe, that this pertains to, but I'll let Kevin move forward on that.
So this is something that we do annually, because when you sign up for the ag district, you sign up for a 5-year term. But your term starts when you sign up, so we did like 4 of them last year or something in lines of that. This year, we only have one. It is the Bradley Hibbard property, the Honey Blossom, I believe they're still called, property. I don't have any issues or concerns at this time, but what we need to do is we need to set up a public hearing, and I'm requesting that we set that public hearing at like 6:45 or 6:50 prior to next council meeting. And then, once that public hearing, we can approve of the ag district that they're in. To remind everybody what the ag district does is it doesn't eliminate assessments, it is able to defer assessments for a period of time if they are ever assessed on items. In this particular case, with this particular property, there was already assessments on there that they cannot defer, which is like the North Point water sewer line, so they do pay those. But if there was ever, within these next 5 years, another assessment for another water line, I don't know what it would be, to be honest, then they can defer that payment to a later time. So again, what we're asking for today is setting up the public hearing, and then we could do the notices.
So you're thinking April 3rd at 6:45?
Yeah, since this is the only one, it's probably gonna take, I would hope, 5-10 minutes at the most.
Okay.
6:45, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Okay. If there are no objections to that, Marissa, if we could set that for April 3rd at 6:45 PM, please. Thank you. All right, we will go around the table. Lori, you had first vote, so we'll start with you.
What? I'd never go first.
He's not here.
No, but he usually goes first. I don't think I have anything. Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Our trip to DC, we got some contacts with some people in Congressman Lana's office, and we emailed back and forth. And through that, we found some grants that are available and some other potential revenue sources are available. So through Andy and Kevin and Chad put together some proposals, and that's going forward later this week. I think the deadline is later this week.
Thursday.
Yeah, so that trip was very, is bearing potential fruit already, so I appreciate it. I know it's kind of a quick deadline, so I know it's a testament to the people that we have here that do a really good job for us. So it's on Chad, it's to get some lead out of the system, right? Someplace we know we have some lead.
Two components to what we're requesting. We're requesting 1.25 or 1.3 million for the water line portion of the work on the Oakwood Avenue project. That would address some potential lead services. And the lead rule now also comes into play with galvanized services. Galvanized services can collect lead that's free. So this will address issues on that, and then we're also going to ask them to assist us with the future project of the East Washington sanitary sewer, which ballpark numbers $4 to $6 million. And then also rehabilitation of the Van Heining interceptor, which we haven't put numbers to, but could be well over $1 million. So it's some additional funding sources with some grant money attached, and we tend to go after those. So I appreciate the letters of support that I received from the mayor and Andy, and we got one from the county engineer, Tim Shum. We requested some from ODOT as well as the chamber and the CIC, and we're gonna try to get everything submitted Thursday afternoon.
much all I had.
Councilman Bear?
Well, I think a miracle is about to happen. I think.
Don't even say it.
Mr. Fire Chief, you don't have anything for the Safety and Human Resources next week, do you? The Police Department, you don't have anything for the, okay.
You told the answer he wanted. No, I don't think that's it. Good.
Mr. City Manager,
Sorry to not.
and the Human Resource Director is not in the house, so.
Did you tell her not to come?
So I will cancel next Monday's meeting of the Safety and Human Resources Committee.
Congratulations.
That is all.
Chief, did you have something else that you wanted to add? I don't want to cut you off. Okay.
I'm just gonna make you sweat a little bit.
Councilman Hayes?
Happy spring.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thanks, Councilman Cordis?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Kevin and the Finance Department for their award. That does speak highly to how things are run. It's good to know you guys have our back like that. That's it.
Mr. Hartman?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Small?
Yes, we did receive word last Friday that the county did approve a 50% cost share for the canal basin, which is part of our miscellaneous streets project for this year. So they will provide $36,000 toward that project, which is wonderful. This Mike Migliore from AMP, he is going to be here Friday afternoon at 1:00. Wants to meet with me and anybody else that's interested, and I would welcome anybody from council that wants to know more about the various sources of power that the city of Napoleon utilizes, that we own. We own a small percentage of a lot of hydro, gas, wind, solar, coal plants. And Mike is gonna be here to go through that, 1:00 Friday afternoon, if anybody is interested. I kinda look forward to it. Somebody said why, but I think it's gonna be fascinating.
So too.
And I seek to learn as much as I can. I know when we get these reports monthly on power costs, and it's a lot. But I'm hoping Mike can go through and help me, and anybody else that's interested, help understand where our power comes from and why we get what we get. It's a huge portfolio, and I know, like last week, and they go through it resource by resource at AMP meetings every month to say how, talk about their efficiencies and costs, and so I look forward to this meeting, but anybody's invited to attend
Right
Friday
here?
afternoon here at 1 PM. Yeah, I could have it here in the council chambers.
Okay.
Okay.
And I believe that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gallagher?
I have nothing.
I also have nothing. With that said, we'll move on to item M, approve payment of bills and financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On page 4, the last item, just as a matter of information, what is it? Old Castle Monitoring and Engineering.
Page 4, the last item.
Encompass Engineers.
I believe what that is that we've been doing some sort of electric study with them because of, they've had some brown outages a little bit. And I believe that is, what we're doing is we're basically doing studies to show that it's not us that's causing
Okay.
that. So I will look to make sure that's correct, but I believe that that's what that is for, but I will confirm that
Yeah.
with you.
They are a company that Electric has used in the past for that. I wasn't aware of Old Castle, but that is the company that Electric uses to analyze businesses. So you're probably right.
Yeah.
Good one.
Good question.
Thank you.
In the absence of any objections or corrections, the bills will stand approved. I'm hearing none, they will stand approved. Item N, adjournment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. We're just colliding here
I
tonight.
missed you.